Expected Comics, and I'm back. This time, yep, you guessed it, we're going to be talking a little bit about CGC. So let's get right into it. You know, just a week into the new year, and believe it or not, CGC has found themselves to be in the news already for our hobby, for comic books, and not just comic books, but in the collecting space. So unless you've been living in Iraq, CGC had a pretty bad 2024. They were in the news quite a bit between, the Slabgate, between the insiders swapping out books, between CGC losing a court case for $10 million, the Banana Gate, the folding of the books in the inner well. That's still an ongoing issue. And we talked a little bit about this before. When you're in the news, in the spotlight, it's hard to get away from that. So what I thought going into the new year, they'd keep themselves quiet. But here you go, 1 week into the new year, and they already made an announcement. So let's talk a little bit about it. And I'm not going to talk, it's not going to be a lengthy video because you guys probably heard by now that they've increased prices. Shocker, no surprise here. I expect them to increase prices again at some point later this year. But so here you go. CGC announces revised services and fees for 2025. I'm going to talk a little bit about the price changes. For the most part, they're not crazy. I'm going to point out some pretty, the few ones that are surprising. I'm going to talk a little bit more about. And then, I'll talk a little bit about why. Why are they doing this? So here's your updates from CGC Comics. This is, and this is just not just comics. This is across all sectors of CCG, Collectors Comic Group, which is the parent company for CGC. So it's not just comic books, it's cards, video games, home videos. I don't know anybody who's submitting videos, but yeah, it's quite the, even JSA, even authentication, they've increased pricing as well. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But instead of going over what the price changes are, I'm going to look at with what Rob Fat Stax did. Actually, he made it really nice and he broke it down easily, so I don't have to do any of that math. It's already broken down for us. So going back to 2020, during the COVID boom, grading was $20 for a Martin, and it's been slowly going up, and went up almost every year. They had price changes, for the exception of 2 years. And so 20, 24, 25. I thought 25 was actually a pretty good number. For 2025, they're going to $27. So over the last 5 years, it's gone up 35% for the modern. And we're just talking comic books. We're not going to be talking about all the other stuff. For the vintage tier, $27. Went to $35, $37, and then now $42 for 2025. That's yielding a 55% increase in 5 years. The high value tier, which was actually $65 in 2020, is now $95, which is 46%. You might as well have increased it to 100. Just round it up, makes it easier. And then, yeah, they increased reholders as well. Your standard reholder was $15 in 2020. Now, last year, well, the last couple of years, it was $20. Now it's going up to $25, which is a 65% increase. So they've gone up quite a bit. Let me go back to the CGC website and show you what he didn't post. They've upgraded also the high value reholder. Fee changed, so $25, yep. The high value reholder is now going up to $75. That's a pretty pricey as well. So if you have any nice valued vintage books that you might want to get reholded for whatever reason, I do it now because yeah, that's quite the increase. I think it was $50 before, so they went up $25 for that. What else? Let's see. They did some obviously signatures too. They're trying to basically nickel and dime you in every single sector. The other thing I found really strange is that the fancy labels, the designs that you get, the custom labels, it was $5 straight across the board. Now it's going up to $8. It doesn't really cost them much difference to print that out. It's cheap. So for them to go up to $3 on that, that's kind of silly. I don't personally buy any of those custom labels. I know a lot of people like them. It's some nice artwork and stuff like that, but to me, it kind of detracts from what the label is on the side. First appearance of, iconic art by, whatever. That ends up not showing up on that front, which I do like. So I'm not a fan of that. But obviously, that's kind of silly. The other thing I wanted to point out was that they're also, where was it? If I click on, oh yeah, join. If I click on join to get a membership, they've increased their membership prices too. So obviously you still got the free tier. You can submit books for free. Yep, that doesn't change. You're just going to pay it the standard price that I just talked about. And then your associate increased from $25 to now $39. And then your premium, which is I have used in the past the premium because it gives you $150 in credit, as it says here, is now going to $159. That's like I said, they're trying to nickel and dime you every which way possible. You used to get more percentage back. Now it's just 10%. The only difference is you get 20% if you're the elite member, and for the most part, those are usually like the dealers that are spending quite a bit on slabbing books in a year. Me personally, in 2024, I did not submit a single book to CGC. I did make a video earlier about submitting a magazine book. I ended up withdrawing it last second. I didn't submit it just because there was a lot of people when I doing in the comments. They were like, well, they're having issues with the banana folding in the books. I was like, I didn't want to risk it, so I didn't even submit. So I submitted more books last year to Beckett, to CBCS, than I did CGC by a factor of just one. I submitted one book to Beckett. It's Beckett, the parent company, which has now been bought out by I think Universal Collectibles or something like that. But I submitted one manga book, and that was it. I didn't submit any books in 2024 outside of that. So yeah, let me know your thoughts behind that. If you're going to be submitting in 2025, if you're going to try to make that deadline by the 21st. I always say no news is good news, and CGC already started the year with news, so that's kind of bad. I did want to point out one thing that I found very interesting. Going back to the news within CGC, this was a video done by Swaggle House about 2 months ago. You guys can check it out. I'm sure a lot of you guys already seen it. But it says CGC forums users start petition for moderator after employee layoffs. So this was in regards to CGC Mike. He was one of the big moderators in the CGC forums. He was I believe he was hired part-time or for whatever it was, or an as-need basis by a CGC. They ended up firing him. And since then, the forums, I believe, are gone on CGC. So you can't even, talk about certain things, get information and so forth. It's just more now of a customer service platform. So that's kind of disappointing. But besides that, I wanted to point out a certain comment that I saw on here. This video is from 2 months ago. And if you guys remember, back in October, November, CGC did a bunch of layoffs. I don't know how many people got laid off. They don't really say. But it's not surprising that their turnaround times have been slowly going up and up. You know, it's like 40 something days now for a book to be the turnaround time for CGC, um, which is wild. I remember it being under a month, so that's kind of crazy. But going back to that, I wanted to point out a comment that I did see. You know, maybe to open up your eyes a little bit. This is by Da underscore looks like potato 3510. So let's talk about it. So it's pretty lengthy, so I'm going to try to read it as quickly as possible. So it says, look, I probably shouldn't be saying this, but I may or may not be working for this company, and I can confirm there were a large amount of layoffs that happened all across the company yesterday. Meanwhile, they're forcing everyone to hit higher and higher quotas. Moral is terrible in there, and it's all upper and middle management's fault. They truly do not understand the community or how to make decisions for the best interests of the employees or the customers. Not to mention the amount of employees there that have never been to a comic shop. It's kind of crazy. You grade comic books. Let alone read a single book that continually damage books because CGC is too busy dealing with their multitude of quality control problems to actually train anyone on the proper handling of books. Also, the place is crawling with miserable people who constantly talk trash about the customers and actively hold resentment towards all of them for making them actually do their job. And don't even get me started on the terrible popularity contest system they have for being promoted. You could be the best worker in that building, but if you haven't kissed at least 12 people's asses, you are getting nowhere. So, if you ever wondered why your books got damaged, or you got the wrong information on a label, it's probably because the people verifying these books don't actually know jack dick about comics. They just buddy with the people who handle the promotions. Hope this gave some insight. Please do not blame me. I only started there recently, and I've been nothing but disgusted. I thought it'd be a nice way to make a living surrounding myself with the things that bring me the most joy, but it's been a nightmare. I just love comics, man. And it's sad to see what's going on. Sorry to everyone who lost their jobs. I didn't, at least until someone finds this comment. But my heart goes out to all those that did, and it's not fair. Normal people have to suffer the consequences of three dudes, a lady, who have their heads so far up their own ass that they can't see what's happening to their company. It's a lot to unpack there. You know, this is a random person. You know, take it for what it's worth. I find it to be credible. Why would you write this lengthy, you know, statement on there, you know, if it didn't have some merit to it? So I scrolled down, and actually he ended up, you know, it had 59 likes. So a lot of people definitely, you know, felt for him for what he was saying. Yeah, and people have said it themselves, have suspected this all along, seems 100% correct. He actually replied, look at, this was 2 months ago. He replied randomly a month later. All right, so this is why, you know, so update, fired. Thank you to everyone who showed support. Maybe I wasn't thinking clearly posting that, but the people who have thanked me for simply stating the things I've witnessed has made me realize that this is all the hill I chose to die on. I love comics and I want them to succeed, not just as a medium of storytelling, but also as a business that can feed and grow the people that love them. Whether that's in the collectible side, the selling side, or the creating side, if standing up and speaking the truth comes at my own detriment, then I will gladly fall on the sword in support of the people like me who love comics. Who knows, maybe I'll make a video talking about my experience there. But for now, I'm taking so much needed time off. F corporate America. There you go. That's thanks to BlackRock. Because if you don't know, recently BlackRock, I believe yesterday on the 8th, or this, I think it was the 8th, they announced corporate-wide that they were laying off 1% of employees. So I believe it said it in the article, that was about 200 people. Not that this is particularly tied to this individual. He was fired the month prior. Um, but yeah, it's typical of these big corporations. As you know, BlackRock owns CCG. They bought them out back in 2021 for $500 million. And like he was saying in his comments, they rush, they try to meet quotas. And when they don't, unfortunately, people get axed. So CGC had a terrible year, like I said previously in the beginning. That $10 million settlement, um, Slabgate, they're paying out all those people. Obviously, they had to pay for all the lawyers, the investigators for those two investigations, right? And dealing with Bananagate. So yeah, and then obviously when the confidence was low, less people were submitting. If you looked at CGC data, there was a nice little graphic that actually Swaggle House showed. Their submissions have been down, from previous months. So I'm not making this stuff up. They had a really bad year, and it's starting off the year by increasing prices. That's what you do. When sales are down, and you think you're the top dog, or presumably the top dog in the market, you gotta, increase prices to pay off that debt. You know what I'm saying? They lost a lot of money. They got to figure out strategies to make profit, and it's coming at our expense. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did at any point, hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe, comment down below, and stay tuned for my next video. Got an unboxing. So until next time, Mark Spector Comics, out.